And where was your father born?
He was born in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what his birthday was?
Uh, his birthday, let me see, Pop's birthday, he's born in 1776, I think. I think Pop's birthday. Oh, July the 14th.
Mm-hmm. July the 14th.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the town or the county in South Carolina?
No, I don't know what town or county, but now May has that on. It's in his obituary,
Okay.
but I don't have any of his. I don't know where it is, but she has that.
Okay. What was his full name?
Samuel Thornton Davis.
Okay. No. Your father. Your
My
father.
father,
His full name.
Samuel Thornton Walker.
Okay.
Davis on the brain there.
Okay. What were his parents' names?
His parents, let me see. His daddy name was Lawrence Walker. His mother died when he was a baby, just a baby. I don't know what her name was. But his father name was Lawrence Walker.
Okay.
And he had a brother named Walter
Walter
Walker.
Okay.
And I remember that.
He had sisters also.
Huh?
He had sisters also.
Had sisters? Yes.
One of them still living. You can't
Well, and then his baby sister still living in San Bern,
No.
in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Aunt Ibby was his oldest sister, and Aunt Rachel was his next sister. Those were his sisters, and Walter was his grandpa's brother.
Okay. His sister that's living, what's her name?
Her name is Flora Belle Reagan.
Okay. Now, did your father die in California?
In San Diego.
What?
He died March the 5th, 1953.
Okay. Were you born in Oklahoma?
No, I was born in Arkansas. I was
Mm-hmm. So they moved from South Carolina to Arkansas?
to Arkansas. And from there to Oklahoma they left and come to Oklahoma and left there and come on to California.
About what year did they go to Oklahoma?
Let me see, my dad was a little boy, and my grandmama's mother and my grandpa, they came from South Carolina to Arkansas. My dad was a little boy, about 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother had her mother wrapped up in a quilt, red and a white quilt. And Pop and Grandma Jones got to talking one day, and he said, "You know, Mom," he said, "I remember there was a white woman on the train, and she had a little sick baby wrapped up in a red and a white quilt." She said, "That was your wife." That is Pop's wife, Mama.
Oh, she was.
No, she wasn't right.
She was a baby and she was sick,
Yeah.
And she was real fair.
and they was coming from
South Carolina.
Carolina to Arkansas.
What town or county in Arkansas were you born in?
Me,
Yes.
I was born in Crawford County
Crawford County
in Oklahoma.
in Arkansas.
I mean in Arkansas.
Okay, was there a town or a county seat?
It was across the river from Fort Smith, Arkansas, about 5 miles.
Okay, you were close to the Oklahoma border then.
Yeah.
Okay. What prompted them to move to Oklahoma? Why did they move into Oklahoma?
What time?
Why did your family move into Oklahoma?
Well, they left Arkansas, coming to Oklahoma because it is kind of slavery time that, and they wanted freedom. And my grandfather, they came to Arkansas, and they lived there, and then they left Arkansas, and my dad, he was a young man then. They left there and come to Oklahoma,
Okay.
and they ended up in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
In Muskogee.
hmm
Okay. About what year did your father meet the saints?
Sherman was.
No.
Wait a minute. My
Your father?
S.T. Walker.
Yes.
He was living in Oklahoma. He met the saints there in Muskogee, and my brother was walking, little child walking, about 2 years old.
Okay.
See, she's hard of hearing, so and if you don't talk up where she can hear it, see, she gets it confused with something else.
Okay. I
Her
mean.
mind is sharp as a tack, sharper than mine. And yours too, probably.
Do you know who the ministers were when your father met the saints?
I can't remember the ministers down in Muskogee, but I didn't know, but I can't remember.
Was Father Robinson, was he with the saints at that time?
Father Robinson. I met Father Robinson when we was in Oklahoma City.
Uh-huh. And how about Brother Wynn?
Father Wynn, Mother Wynn,
Yes.
they was in Guthrie. We'd see him at the meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only, I know them.
Okay. So you said when your father got saved, your brother was about 2 years old.
Yes.
What church did your father grow up in?
I think they were Baptists, I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, he got saved in Muskogee.
Mhm.
I wish I could remember. I didn't know, I didn't know, and they were just children. I mean, I know, you see, my father and mother were school children together, and they weren't married.
Mhm.
My father and mother never were. My
Oh.
grandfather wouldn't let he wanted her to elope with
Yeah.
him, and my grandfather said, my grandfather, Paul Walker, would drink,
Mhm.
and my dad, my grandpa Dumas, my mama's mother, didn't want him to marry my mother because he drank and he would fight his wife.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that come about.
Mhm. Are you the oldest?
Huh?
She was talking about her
Oh, her mother?
her grandfather,
Yeah,
her
she's
grandfather Walker. So you're the oldest.
I'm the first child, oldest child.
Mhm.
My mother and dad were in school, going to school,
Mhm.
and they were children. That's the way they got me.
So Sister Torah Mae and your father Sherman, they have a different mother.
Sister Gertrude Walker,
Mm-hmm.
that died in '87,
She
was
just
there.
died in '87.
No, Gertrude Walker died before '87. We're
67.
67. And she was real bright. I've seen her
Real
picture.
Yeah, and heavy set.
Uh-huh. I've seen her picture, but I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing her.
Yeah, she was real fair.
Mm-hmm.
Real fat, white
Great
and
eyes.
freckle face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen her picture. When did your father begin preaching? About what year?
Along about, well, he had been saved. He is along about 1910 or 11.
Okay. So if you said he met the saints when your brother was about 2 years old, what year was your brother born?
He's born in July the 20th, 1905.
Okay, so your father met the saints about 1907. Okay. Do you know who ordained him? Who ordained your father when he started preaching?
No. I don't know if Father Robinson was head man or not, but I do know that we were living in Oklahoma City. All of us were living in one house. Sister Mary Howard lived upstairs, and Father Henry Robinson lived in the back downstairs, and we lived in the front. And it had service all right there in the same building. On at 105 South Douglas,
South Douglas.
California Street.
Is this before 3rd and Phillips?
Hmm?
You know where the church is at 3rd and Phillips in Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Was this before that church?
Yes.
Okay, and you said it was 105 South Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the pastor there in Oklahoma City at that time?
Brother Henry Robinson.
Brother Robinson. Okay. So you all moved from Muskogee to Oklahoma City?
Well, they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I was with my mother. My father found me in April in 1911, and that's when he got me.
Mm-hmm.
I was 12 years old, and I become 13 right after that. I mean, in that year.
Okay. I understand you used to travel a lot with your father.
Yeah.
Where all did you go? What congregations did you go to?
Well, we went on Capitol Hill, and he went to Guthrie.
Where's Capitol Hill? Is that Oklahoma City?
Yeah, that's in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Sister Lena Matheson. Oh, there was a lot of ministers in that. They'd be in these meetings, but the chapel was on Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember that.
Okay. So you all would go to, let me stop this. Travel with your father, and you all would go to Guthrie and Capitol Hill. What other congregations would you go to?
Go to Bowley,
Mm-hmm.
and let me see. You know this round is
Did you all go to Hennessy?
Hennessy,
Did you go
and
to
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee?
My mother and dad married in Tallahassee, Oklahoma.
Okay, Tallahassee. Now, didn't your father used to pastor Tallahassee?
He didn't ever tell. He was an evangelist.
Uh-huh.
He didn't pastor anywhere.
Okay.
He was just a traveling evangelist. He never did except pastor. And I remember when they lived was in San Diego, they wanted him to have the pastorship, and he said, no, I am an evangelist.
Okay.
He never walked until he was 5 years old. And he promised the Lord, he was sitting in a chair, helpless, and a chunk of fire burnt and rolled down, and he was sitting there and couldn't get moved. He said, Lord, have mercy on me and don't let me burn up. And he said, Lord spoke to him. He was 5 years old. Told him, said, if you promise me you live for me and work for me, I'll make you a man. And he was a hunchback. Looked like, have you ever heard of the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yes.
Well, that's just what he looked like. He was a hunchback. And the Lord told him, if you promise me you'll live for me and work for me, I'll make a man of you. And my dad was a handsome little man. The Lord told him that. And he made him into a man. And from that on, he went.
Did he ever say what it was that drew him to the saints? Did he say what was special about the saints?
Well, yeah, they were going to, they had met this minister there in Muskogee, and they asked them to go to church. And they went to church. And my dad, when they heard the message, they become interested in Muskogee. And they went back again, and I don't know whether Mama was the first or Pop, but one of them got saved. And then when one got saved, the two of them got saved.
Both of them did.
Yeah, and they stayed with the saints from that on.
Were there any certain ministers that he talked about? You know, that he came up under? Just like was he under the preaching of Father Robinson mostly, or was there any minister that your father mainly came up under?
Well, they all, all ministers used to work together. It wasn't like it is now, or this one and that one.
Yeah.
But they all ministers, the older ministers would teach the youngers, the younger saints. And whenever the Lord would have his hand on one to preach, the older Father Wynn, Father Robinson, and them would tell him that the Lord got his hands on you, and I want you to obey. I've heard them say that now.
Oh, they would tell them if they felt like the Lord was leading them to preach or to...
Say the Lord has got his hands on you, calling you,
Yes.
and I want you to obey. I remember Brother Euless Phillips, under that, all of them. They lived at Dover, Oklahoma. And all of them, I just remember hearing them talking. I was just a little child. But I can remember that.
When you traveled with your father, did you all go to Wichita?
I never did I've never been to Wichita.
Did you all go to Monarch Springs to the...
I would never went to Monarch Springs. They wasn't having meetings there then, I don't think. And I don't know when this Monarch Springs started, but I know my husband and I went to Monarch Springs. But with my parents, I don't know anything about Monarch Springs.
Yeah.
But my husband and I went to Monarch Springs. And we bought a lot there, but we never did put no cabin on it, none did put a tent on it. And we went to the Monarch, the Neosho, Missouri, to the Monarch Spring meeting. But now that was during my husband and I.
Yeah, after you got married.
Yeah.
Now, when you were little, when you were young among the saints, um, was the church pretty much mixed black and white at that, colored and white at that time?
More, well, they did mix. So sometimes be more white than it was
Okay.
colored.
Was it kind of difficult for the color since they had come out of the deep south? You know, like since you all had come out of Arkansas, and was it kind of hard to mix among?
Yeah, some of them were prejudiced. And so now Sister Marie Ma, Sister Maybelle Pruitt, she and I stay in touch with each other. And she told me they were from Texas. And when they came to the meeting, she said they had never been in a mixed church.
Mm.
And she said her father, I don't know what her father was, but anyway, she was married to Lawrence Pruitt. And Fred Pruitt was one worked with my father too.
Okay.
And so she told me, I have a letter here somewhere. Her father was prejudiced, but her mother wasn't. And we just talked like that. We're writing to. And her daddy died in 1943, and my daddy died in 1953. I don't know what her parents' name was, but anyway, they first come to Oklahoma and got with the saints, and that's when they got, and they continued to the print shop in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Now, at that time, Father Wynn was the pastor at Guthrie?
Yes, I think he was.
Did you go up to Guthrie very much?
I know, I never went, I didn't go. My dad went all the time, he and Mama, but some of the family would keep us children.
Yeah.
And we didn't do a lot of traveling until later on. But I never went to Guthrie until I was a teenager. I was grown.
So you were living at that time in Oklahoma City when you were growing up, mainly when you were growing up?
Yes, I lived in Oklahoma City. And I had lived in Boulder first, but I went to Oklahoma City. We left, I remember when my mother left Arkansas and come to Boulder, Oklahoma, it was 1908.
1908.
1908.
Okay. Now, in Oklahoma City, you said Father Robinson was one of the pastors.
Yeah.
Who was the pastor after him?
Well, I don't know. Sister Lena Matheson and all of them, and there was a Brother Brown.
Was Sister Matheson, was she ever the pastor?
Not, I don't know. No, she always lived on Capitol Hill in Oklahoma City.
What about Sister Josie Wynn?
Sister Josie Wynn was one of the pastors there in Oklahoma City
Okay.
after Brother Robertson. Now that's between them.
Uh-huh. Also, after Brother Robinson, then it was Sister Josie Wynn.
Yeah.
Was that congregation mixed black and white?
Yes. Yes.
How do you think the whites felt about having a black pastor?
Well, I don't think it made much difference then, because they used to have to run and hide. The people would be after them, shooting at them. Brother Howard Robertson had things in his leg where they shot them. Him and Sister Lena Matheson and all of them, they would run and hide. and the people was after them, chasing them because they didn't want them to mix together.
They didn't want them to mix in the church?
No, they didn't. Folks, I'm talking about the world of people.
That's why they were shooting at them?
Yes, cause the white and the colored was mixing, and they didn't want Negroes in that community, in that church.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was, me being so little and young, and so much I didn't understand, didn't know, but I know by hearing them talk, and hearing how they run and would hide in the bushes to keep from, the people from killing them. And it was just kind of a mixed up thing. There was a lot of prejudice, but some of them stayed true, and they stayed together. Do you remember, did you ever hear about Brother Shute,
No,
Brother Bennett,
no.
and Brother Bethel, Jim Bethel?
Are those white men or black men?
They're white. All of them is white.
They were all in the Oklahoma City congregation?
No, they was at round about, round out at the Deep Fork, round from Tulsa,
Around Bristow?
Bristol, and Wetumpkin, and Hatchet.
Did you know Brother and Sister Edens?
I should say, I know Brother Sister Edding. Yes, indeed. And Sister Caradale, Edding Fletcher.
Yes.
I saw Brother Fletcher about 2 years ago. He came to see me.
Okay. And how about, did you know the Lowndes family?
We lived right across the street from each other there in Oklahoma City.
Do you remember when they came among the saints, the Lowndes?
No, they were there when I met them.
They were already in Oklahoma City.
They were already there.
Did Sister Lowndes, was she the song leader there?
I think she was. She used to sing, and I just loved to hear her sing.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about Sister Mary's mother, right? Mary Lowndes' mother.
Mary Lowndes' mother,
What was her first name?
Gertrude,
Gertrude Lowndes. Oh,
and her husband's name was George.
George. Okay. Brother Robert Talley?
Brother Robert Talley and Sister Maud Talley, I think. Anyway, they were there in Oklahoma. They had a boy named Otis, and he died. He only had that one child. Brother Robert Talley, Brother George Lowndes, and Brother Eddie Crowell. They all worked for the cracker factory,
Okay.
Nabisco Cracker,
Nabisco. Okay.
Cracker Factory. They all worked there together. And my dad worked with them. And it just comes to me,
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you know Brother Manley Spears?
Brother Manny Spears rescued me when I was just a girl starter. We went out on the first picnic, and Brother Manley Spears, we were in a couple of four, and they had a bottle, a fifth they called it, I think, and they were drinking. And so when they come to want me to drink, I said, no, I don't want it. I never did drink.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take it. And man and I was sitting in the back seat, and he'd push his legs open. I said, sit according to your family. And he said, what is your name? I said, my name is Blanche Walker. And he said, I said, what is your name? He said, man. He said, I know, Brother Walker. He said, do you? I said, that's my father. He said, well, what are you doing in this bunch? I said, I don't know. I just come out here to my first picnic. I said, what is your name? He said, Man Spears. I said, you know Jake Spears? He said, my brother. Jake was preaching.
Oh, his brother was a preacher.
Yeah, Jake was a preacher. And Manny was too.
Now, who were their parents?
Uh, Father and Mother Spears. They lived in Bowley, Oakley.
Did you know their first names?
I know, I can't think of their first name.
Okay.
Wait a minute now. Father Spears. I don't know if his name was Jake or what, but I know it was Father and Mother Spears, and that is Jake and Manly's parents.
Okay. Did your father help to establish any congregations?
Oh yes, different ones. They would. I know when we left and went to Manford, they called him to come out. That's where it started. From Manford.
Is Manford in Oklahoma?
Yes,
Okay.
Manford and Payton, Jennings.
Jennings.
Pop was he established. He went out and had a meeting and preached, and all them people out there got saved under him.
Okay.
At that Jennings, Oklahoma.
Okay. And what other towns, what other places did he help to establish?
Well, he went to Clearview, Walika, Wetumpka, and Sepulchre, Okmulgee, and that's when I was with them, and we went to different meetings.
How about Hoffman?
Right, Hoffman. Let me see, yeah, I'm trying to think about this brother that was there, and he'd wake his daughter up and make her get up and go to the altar. Yes, Hoffman, and Hitchity, and Henderson, all them places around in there close together.
Was there a church at Hitchita?
Yes, Sister Rachel Edwards was the preacher that was pastor there.
Oh, Sister Rachel Edwards. Did you know the Jones family that lived there in Hitchita? Sister, her husband's name was James Augustus Jones. Her name was Cordelia Jones.
Cordelia. Yes, I know them.
Did you know them when they lived in Hitchita?
Yes, that's where they were living when I knew them.
Did they leave from there and go to Ohio?
Yes.
About what year did they?
Well, I was just a child. It is in the early 20s. Longer than about 15, 19, 18 or 20, somewhere along in there.
How about Brother Cheney?
I know Brother Cheney. Whoa, Roy had a heavy voice. Yes, I know Brother Cheney.
Did he ever live in Oklahoma too?
Not that I know of. He was at White Springs, Ohio, I think. White White Plains, Ohio, I think.
And then he moved to Akron?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but he never did live in Oklahoma that you know of.
No, not that I know of. Did you ever know Brother Stull?
No.
Well, he was a young minister. He's in there. I met him at Gussie. He come to the meeting. And Sister Josie and them was having meetings there at the Guthrie. That's when I was there.
Okay. I was going to ask you something about. Okay, you said at Hitchita, Sister Rachel Edwards was the pastor. Who was the pastor there in Hoffman at that time?
I'm trying to think of this little brother's name. I can't think of his name. But anyway, Sister Liza Brown and Brother S.D. Brown, they called him Wendy Brown. They got saved at Hoffman under my dad's preaching.
Okay. How about at Tallahassee? Who was the pastor there?
Well, I don't know. That's when my dad, he got come into the truth there in Tallahassee. That's where he was living. And I can't just think of those people's names. I can't remember 'em. But I can remember, it's in the back of my mind, but I can't remember.
Were the Gaines with the Saints at that time in
I
town?
remember when Leonard and Fletcher and Bud Gaines and them, my dad, they was laughing at him, talking about living free from sin. And he said, yes, you can live free from sin. Oh, Sam, he said, you know you can't live free from sin. And lo and behold, kept on until they got saved. Leonard and Fletcher and Bud Gaines, they all got saved. They was around Tallahassee and Muskogee around there.
Was Tallahassee a mostly colored town at that time?
Yes, I think it was. I don't think there was many colored or many whites in there. But anyway, we just didn't think nothing about that. The white people was just like the colored. It wasn't a whole lot of prejudice in there.
Yeah.
In some places, it is worse than others. Bowley, that is all colored town. They didn't allow any white folks there.
Oh, they
And
didn't.
Castle and Okema and them places, they were all white. They didn't want no color there.
How about Hoffman
Hoffman was a little colored town.
and Grayson too?
Grayson and all them. Redbird, yes, all them places.
Did you hear about a place called Fort Gibson?
Fort Gibson, yes.
Was that a colored town too?
I don't know just what for. I don't, it is just scarce. I don't like hen teeth. I don't know how many or like that, but anyway, I do know Bowley didn't have no Negroes there.
You mean no whites?
I mean no whites.
Mm-hmm.
And Okema, Castle, and Wetumpkin, them was all little white towns.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd run Negroes and had a sign up there, nigger, if you can read, run. And if you can't read, run
Anyway.
anyway. I read that sign many times.
Do you know if Father Henry Robinson has any children living?
One of his Brother Henry's children. The only one now that I know living, I think it's Frazier.
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 Where does he live?
He's here somewhere here in Los Angeles.
Oh, so
What?
Frazier Robinson.
Uh-huh.
Did Father Robinson ever live in California?
No. No, he never lived in California.
So he died in Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Do you know about what year he died?
Well, no, but anyway, I know last time I saw him, he came to my mother's in Tulsa, and he said, Sister Walker, how did little Blanche turn out? You know, they said that Mama was wasting her time on me, raising me, because my mother and dad wasn't married.
Yeah.
And Mama says, I'll take my chances. Sister Robinson told her, said, you're wasting your time on her. Said, she ain't gonna be nothing. And Brother Henry Robinson came to my mother's honor. I was in my early 20s. He said, Sister Walker, how did little Blanche turn out? He didn't want me. Theophilus was one of his boys. And we were in love, wanted to get married. And he sent him to Hunter, Oklahoma, to Father and Mother Gunn to keep us from getting married. He didn't want him to marry me, cause they said that I wouldn't fit, you know.
Yeah.
So when Brother Robinson said, Sister Walker, how did little Blanche turn out? What become? Mama said, I want you to see Blanche. Said she's working out here, and she's off today, and she'll be on a Thursday. Said she'll be in any minute. And I come walking in, and Brother Henry got up and stood and looked at me when I walked in. And Mama said that, he said, this is little Blanche. Mama said, that's Blanche. And Brother Henry Robinson said, he shook my hand and said, I don't know which one of my boys I would rather see you be his wife. I said, too late, Brother Henry. I had been married, my husband was separated.
Uh-huh.
And so, just from that on.
No, you mentioned Father and Mother Gunn.
Yeah,
Were they black also? Were they colored?
they were Negroes
Where did they live?
at Hunter, Oklahoma.
Was he a minister too? Or her?
One of them, I don't think either one of them was a minister. I don't know. But anyway, they lived at Hunter, and Brother Robinson sent Theophilus to live with them out on the farm to keep him and I, to break us up.
Yeah. Now, okay, you said Frazier is still living.
Yeah, one of the Robinson boys, there's only one living. Maybelle died, Ada's living. Well, that's the count I had, that's the baby girl. But Maybelle died here a few years ago. I got a chance to see her at Monarch Spring. When they was talking about, they didn't want me, Ed, or neither Theophilus, didn't want Maybelle went out around the house and met me, put her arm around me and said, Blanche, I don't feel that way about you. I love you and I want you to be your friend. I want you to be my friend. And that's the way Maybelle and I, when we last met, we were still Blanche and Maybelle. And Maybelle lived saved and I believe she died saved. She was at where Brother Warren is now,
Okmulgee.
Okmulgee.
Okay. What was her married name?
Williams.
Maybelle Williams.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you used to live in Las Vegas also?
Yes.
Now, wasn't a congregation starting there at one time?
My husband is the one that started, went there and started a congregation there.
What year did y'all move there?
We were there when President Kennedy
Was
assassinated.
That's 1963.
Yeah, well, we were there then.
What minister did Brother Chandler start coming over there?
Brother Chandler would go. He'd go with us. We had him. We all worked together up there. Brother I.C. Chandler.
How long were y'all there in Las Vegas?
We were there. My husband went up there to start his Social Security, and he went there in '63, and we were there until '65. And then the freeway began to take the place. We were going to buy the place, and the freeway took it, and they paid us our fare way, gave us money to come home.
Yeah.
To back to California.
Did y'all have was there a chapel there?
Well, yes, there was a little chapel there under the name. It was little Lola Hayes. The little church, little building. And Brother Chandler was supposed to bought some lots there. He put a petition for them, and he got them, but I don't know what became of it.
Yeah. Did the congregation start to grow? Was it pretty sizable?
Well, it was they were the dancing. They bleed in dancing and all.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't go for that. I told them, no, I didn't dance. I said, now in my congregation, we sing. We don't have no music. I said, we sing from our vocal cord. And I didn't dance. They couldn't understand. But anyway, Bishop